Hey, I'm John Cena. Press the like button if you believe that it's laughable that Kevin Nash thinks that he was a part of the boys back in the day in the WWF and World Championship Wrestling.
So I heard what Kevin Nash said about Logan Paul. You see, this is where Kevin Nash lost me. I usually defend Kevin Nash on his takes, right? We both agree. L.A. cosplay. He sucks, okay? All he is a decent talker, but as of late, bro, how can you say he's a great talker? He botches a lot of his promos. So what is it with LA cosplay that people like so much? So me and Nash, we both agree. LA cosplay is a ripoff of Rocky Maivia. We both agree on that. But his take on Logan Paul, man, he came across as a hater. And I'm like, you would think he would like Logan Paul. I'm like, because he got in the business when he wasn't really a huge fan of wrestling, right? Okay, he was a fan, but not a diehard fan. And he has made tons of money. Same as Kevin Nash. So I'm like, bro, you two have a lot in common. Both of you made tons of money in fake pro wrestling, and you are not diehard fans of the sport, and you got in the business at the same age. So I'm like, what the fuck? You have a lot in common. It's just, it feels like Nash comes across as a bitter hater. I don't know why. He said that Logan Paul is not one of the boys. But Nash, you wasn't either. Bro, Nash, man, you need a history lesson. Back in the day, bro, nobody liked you backstage. The fuck? You was a part of the clique. Burying people backstage, bro. Okay, would Bam Bam Bigelow say you was one of the goddamn boys? No. Like, you were the king of playing backstage politics. He wants to be the mascot for the boys. I'm like, wow, bro. I'm like, the pot calling the kettle black. Would Chris Jericho agree with Nash calling himself one of the boys? You? No, you played politics with Shawn Michaels and Triple H. You was a part of the clique. Would Shane Douglas call you one of the boys when half that locker room did not like you? Okay, fun fact. When WCW got bought out, nobody wanted Nash back in the World Wrestling Federation. Nobody wanted the NWO in that locker room. That is a real story. Ask Bruce Pritchard. Bro, there was a vote, right? Vince McMahon asked his locker room, should I bring in Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and Hulk Hogan? They said no. But Vince said, fuck it, I'm still gonna bring those guys in. So, Nash, stop acting like you was an advocate for the boys in your era. Bro, nobody liked you. I'm like, he was the one who invented the term vanilla midget. He was the one that was burying all the small men in his era. Would Dave Malenko say you was one of the boys? Dude, you was a booker. Like, you booked yourself to beat Bill Goldberg. Like, nobody liked how the way you was booking WCW. You had power backstage. Eric Bischoff made you a booker. He made you a writer, right? So no, you can't say you was one of the boys. Hell, you was a writer. You was a booker. And you wrestled? No, you was not a part of the boys. You was low-key a part of management. You was friends with the boss, Eric Bischoff. So what makes you think you was a part of the boys? And then he brags about how he was doing house shows. He was on the road with the boys, etc. I'm like, no, he was not. You left the World Wrestling Federation because you wanted less dates with more money. I'm like, this dude has amnesia. Real huge amnesia about himself. Listen, I'm a fan of Kevin Nash, but he's wrong on this shit take. Listen, Logan Paul is a better wrestler than you. Once that bell rings, is he jealous of that fact alone? Now, I did hear Logan Paul's response, and I agree with everything he said. Logan Paul is a top 5 wrestler in the company. Okay, who is not in that top 5 that's better than Logan Paul? There's Cody Rhodes, there's Roman, Seth, there's fucking Paul, 5, Gunther, that's the top 5. No, it's not Finn Balor. There's not Dave Priest. No, not Miz, not Orton, not fucking KO. Listen, Orton is a legend, right? He has 0 to prove, so I wouldn't call him a top 5 or a top 10. He's going to the motherfucking Hall of Fame. So, no, Randy Orton is not in the top 5. He is above the top 5 at this point of his career. Now, let's talk about the U.S. belt. Logan Paul, he made you care again about the U.S. Championship. He elevated that championship. And now LA Cosplay is trying to piggyback off the U.S. belt. The same belt that Logan Paul made relevant. He made that championship relevant. And now LA Cosplay is trying to keep the belt afloat. But to me, he's already a boring U.S. champion, as I predicted. Logan Paul, every time he's on a show, every time he has a match, is always the best match of the night. Next to Cody Rhodes. I don't get Kevin Nash beef with Logan Paul. It has to be jealousy. I'm like, you gotta hear the clip of what Kevin Nash said about himself. This dude is trying to act like he's an advocate for the boys backstage, the locker room. And to my knowledge, the guys backstage, they like and respect Logan Paul. CM Junk respects Logan Paul. Roman Reigns respects Logan Paul. Everybody in that locker room respects Logan Paul. Why? Because he puts in work. When he does show up, he puts in work and he has the best match of the night. What more do you want? And he does it part-time. I think maybe he's jealous. The fact that he does this part-time and yet he's a top 5 guy in the company without being full-time. But Kevin Nash is such a fucking hypocrite. Hypocrite. Kevin Nash was a wrestler and a booker at the same time in WCW. You can make the argument that Kevin Nash, he helped kill WCW. So how dare you, man? How dare you talk shit about Logan Paul? He is trying to treat Logan Paul as an outsider. Bro, Kevin Nash, by your logic, you also were an outsider. You used to be a basketball player. I'm like, okay, his last job before he became a wrestler, he was a bouncer at clubs. So in hindsight, you also was an outsider, just like Logan Paul. It's just you was not famous like Paul, but you two are very similar. You two were outsiders who were not lifelong fans of fake pro wrestling. Why is Kevin Nash trying to come across like he's some lifelong fan, like he's some smart, that he wants Paul to grind on the indies? So I'm like, man, you gotta have amnesia. Who is this Kevin Nash? Like I said, I can understand his hate for LA Cosplay, but I'm shocked. I thought he would be a fan of Logan Paul. Those guys are similar because they did less work to make millions of dollars in fake pro wrestling. Kevin Nash did less work to make millions, right? Okay, tell me this. Why was Kevin Nash hired as a booker when he wasn't even in the business for over, 8-10 years prior? That's what I don't get. A lot of people had a serious issue with that, right? The fact that he did not have long-term experience in wrestling before Eric Bischoff hired him as a booker. So, bro, you was hired as a booker even though you was an outsider. Literally, you was an outsider. You was not a lifelong fan of this sport. You was in it for maybe 8-7 years before you was hired as a booker in WCW, and you was wrestling. That was a conflict of interest. Now, do I believe that Logan Paul does not know who Kevin Nash is? Yes, I do believe that, because I think that Paul became a fan of wrestling, maybe after 2010, maybe after 2008. He ain't no lifelong fan of wrestling. It's just, I think he became a fan of wrestling after Kevin Nash retired. So yes, I do believe he don't know Kevin Nash. I do believe that. I don't think he's trying to be Hollywood. I seriously believe he don't know who Kevin Nash is. But obviously, now he does. But Kevin Nash is wrong. He is fucking wrong. He is jealous. Man, all these years, man, I'm always trying to defend Kevin Nash. He is a very, very chill guy. But, man, he lost tons of credibility by trying to bury Logan Paul. I'm like, bro, you don't speak for that locker room. That locker room, they love Logan Paul. And yes, he don't need to be full-time. Bro, just imagine if he was full-time. Can you imagine a guy with his talent being full-time? So, don't poke the bear. Because right now, Logan Paul, he's already a better wrestler than you, Kevin Nash. Once that bell rings, he's just jealous, man. And listen, why are you checking his pockets? That's called jealousy, right? He is saying that Logan Paul, he earns all this money even though he's part-time. He thinks he don't deserve it. But why are you checking this man's pockets? Why the fuck do you care? Who cares? Logan Paul has earned it. He is a huge draw outside of fake pro wrestling. He gets clicks and likes and views. He adds revenue to the World Wrestling Federation. He is a wrestler and a businessman. He is at a different level than you, Kevin Nash. But yes, for the record, yes, Logan Paul is a top 5 wrestler in the company. You can't name me not one guy that's in my top 5 that's better than Logan Paul. I do agree with Logan Paul. He said facts. I do agree. He is a top 5er in the World Wrestling Federation. Like I said, it's Cody Rhodes, Roman, Seth Freaky Rollins. Then you got Gunther, and then there's Logan Paul. Those top 5 guys, they always put on the best matches on the card. So by that logic, yes, that is the real top 5. This is how rankings should be. It's not all about the in-ring talent. It's about, are you drawing? Are you drawing on YouTube? Do you draw on social media? Do you get people talking? Are you a great talker? Do you drive in revenue? Are you a draw? Do people want to see you? Do you elevate talent around you? Yes, okay. Do you have good matches every time your ass is on the card? Okay. It seems like Logan Paul checks all those boxes. So yes, he is top 5 in this company. Logan Paul is super athletic. This man can talk. He has a character, and he elevated a championship. That's why he's top 5. He elevated the US Championship. Now it's relevant. Now people care about LA cosplay, but even though Logan Paul is the reason you care about that championship, that's facts. He made you care about it. That makes him a top guy. That makes him very, very polarizing. This dude had a match with Cody Rhodes. That was a great match. This dude had a match with LA Cosplay. That was the best match of LA Cosplay's career on the main roster. But to get back on Kevin Nash, this guy was a bully in the clique. So how were you a part of the boys? Bret Hart would definitely disagree with you, Kevin Nash, right? Bret Hart did not like Kevin Nash. So how were you a part of the boys when you were playing backstage politics to take their spots? No, bitch, you were not a part of the boys in any era that you was in. They did not like you. Hell, they did not want you back in the World Wrestling Federation. So hell no, you was not a part of the boys, so don't speak for those boys. And yes, Logan Paul is better than those boys backstage.